Loblaw says prices are going up for a number of products because the tariffs are going to take effect. They were able to stave off some of that for a little while, but that's going to change. My next guest says this is an industry issue, not just a Loblaw's issue. Let's go to Bruce Winder, retail analyst at Bruce Winder Retail. Bruce, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on, Marella.
Talk to me about timing. Why is Loblaw saying prices are going to rise now?
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with burning down of inventory. So Loblaw and a lot of other retailers across Canada sort of loaded up on inventory as much as they could to try to defer and wait for this. But now that inventory's drawn down, so now some of the new product they're bringing in, unfortunately, has some of the higher tariffs attached to it through Canadian government's counter tariffs.
So essentially what they had was inventory, I guess, already priced, and now they're restocking.
Yeah, they had inventory priced lower because that was brought in before the tariff, and now as they restock, the higher amount, unfortunately, is becoming part of their landed cost.
How much do they buy that is tariff exposed? Do we have an idea of that?
Yeah, I think the number's around 10% maximum of the store is from the U.S., but maybe not all of it is tariff exposed. I think they mentioned that there could be up to 6,000 items that could be affected over the next several weeks. But they've been trying to work to mitigate that by buying locally where they can, or even buying product from other countries outside of the U.S. So I think they're trying to do whatever they can. They're putting a T on the tariffs affected items as well at the store level so that there's transparency there so the customer can make the choice.
Have they been successful in pivoting away from the U.S. for some items, some products?
I think they have. I think because they had a bit of time to get in front of it, they were able to do so, and that's going to probably count a lot in terms of keeping prices as low as possible during this difficult time.
Okay, so what items are going to be hit? What items are customers going to see marked up when they go for their weekly shop?
Well, I think some of it now is going to be things like orange juice. I know orange juice and coffee was hit, but I think Loblaw has signaled that even some health and beauty items now have drawn down, and some of the new stuff they're bringing in is higher priced. There was an example of orange juice where consumers have started buying more President's Choice orange juice versus, Tropicana for that very reason. The good news, though, and this is a good one, is that the Canadian government recently changed their counter tariffs to exclude raw materials and ingredients for the food industry. So that means, as long as the product is a finished good, as long as it's being finished in Canada, there's no tariff. Where previously you'd have to pay tariffs on all the ingredients of products coming into Canada to make that food.
Okay, so you mentioned as well, Loblaw has been flagging items hit by the tariffs with a T. So that's still happening. Have consumers appreciated that? Is that something that they want to see, you think?
I think so, because you know what, we're giving the consumers getting a choice, right? As consumers, we're given the information we need. We know why. We probably notice the prices went up. So I think consumers appreciate the transparency, and the consumer can make that choice, and they may have understanding as to why a certain product jumped up in price and why the others haven't.
Should we expect the same now from other grocery chains? We mentioned that Loblaws was doing it now because they had stocked up on a certain amount. Now stock's running low. Do we know what situation the other grocers are in, or should we expect prices to start climbing at other spots as well?
Yeah, I think it's an industry-wide issue. It's not just Loblaw. Loblaw's been more vocal and transparent about it, but the other retailers, for sure, the other grocers are facing the same thing. And I'm sure they loaded up on inventory the same way to try to mitigate it. But you know what? It's just, everyone's running out now. So I think it's going to be across the board. You'll see greater prices on select items, unfortunately.
Okay, so are there other options for any of these grocery chains to keep prices low for consumers?
Well, I think the big option is, like they've done, try to buy locally, right? Try to buy locally, or try to buy from another country that isn't part of the tariff issue. That's probably the best way to do it, and I think grocers have been pretty proactive about that, trying to keep products as low as they can.
Got it. All right, Bruce, I've got to leave the conversation with you there, sir, but thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Marella. Take care.